Welcome to the Coastal Kitchen. Today we're going to be having a feast with some salmon. I really love this dish and I think you will too. Before we start though, the controversy about is it salmon or is it salmon? It's salmon in the dictionary. So forget that L and let's get started with our salmon. This is a wonderful dish that you can use as an appetizer or you can use as a main entree. The first thing we're going to do is get our marinade ready. As I said, got a wonderful piece of salmon, and just so you can see, the skin is still on the back. I'm going to put in my bowl some olive oil, good old EVOO, vinegar, and I'm using a variation of soy sauce that's gluten-free. It's called Marinated. You can get it at your local grocery store. And I've got some powdered garlic. We're just going to pop that right in there. And I'm going to give that just a little whisk to start. We're going to use some lemon juice. And I use about half a lemon. Okay, let's get that going. And squeeze up so you don't get the seeds. Rinse off my hands just a sec. Give it another little swirl here. And this is going to sit in the marinade in a plastic bag. Got a little plastic bag right here. For about 2 hours before you get ready to cook it. So I'm going to just roll this up because it's a little bit slippery. Put it in my bag and pour the marinade right over the top. Okay, one more wash of the hands. And I'm going to get most of the air out of my bag. Just roll it over just a little bit before you seal it. And give it a good turn and shake so that marinade gets all over your fish. Now I do have another one in my fridge, so let me grab that and we're going to put this in for about 2 hours. Let's get rid of that. In this one I put my parsley first, but I also like to chop parsley and put it on top of the fish as I bake it. So let me get my little pan. I've taken a baking pan, lined it with foil, and I'm going to get another sheet of foil and put right on the top. All right, let's get this fish out. You can see how it's picked up the oil and the parsley. And we're going to chop just a little more fresh parsley to put on the top. Just a handful. Makes it look pretty and it also adds a whole lot of flavor. So we're going to sprinkle that over the top. And I'm going to take the tin foil. And because I really like the marinade, I'm just going to put a touch on top. We're going to wrap this fish so it's completely sealed in the tin foil. Make sure it's good and tight. It's going to go in a 325 oven for an hour. Don't even bother to peek. And now I'm going to clean up just a moment and we're going to get started on our wonderful chopped salad. I've got all of my ingredients ready for the chopped salad. Now this chopped salad is probably my favorite salad of all time, and it's a variation of Ruth's Chris chopped salad. I absolutely love it, and you will too. I've got everything chopped up and ready to go. I've got baby lettuce. You can use iceberg if you would like. Make sure it's chopped very, very finely because we're going to stuff all of our salad into those wonderful tomatoes. All right, I've got white button mushrooms, very finely chopped. Get all of those in. I've got 8 slices of bacon, and it's nice and crispy. That goes right on top. I've done some hearts of palm, and if you've never used hearts of palm, they have the most wonderful flavor. Let me just show you what I consider one stick. This is a heart of palm. I slice it down the center. Just slice it in thin julienne type pieces. And then start chopping. And I've used 3 in this salad. And you just want to chop just as tiny as you can chop. You could even use a food processor to dice this up if you'd like. All right, let's get all that in. So I've used 3 sticks of hearts of palm. Now I have some chopped up olives with pimento. I have some grape tomatoes chopped into about 8 pieces each. And those wonderful canned onion rings. Goes right on top. Just give them a good squash. Okay, I've got blue cheese, about a ½ cup, right on top. All that goes in, and we're going to give it a nice little mix. It's well worth the effort for this salad, believe me. Looks great too, but the taste is marvelous. Okay, I'm going to put this over to the side for just a minute and get my ingredients to make my dressing. This is a buttermilk style ranch that has some tarragon and garlic in it, which is really wonderful. Okay, I'm going to put my garlic in, lovely minced garlic, my tarragon leaves, celery seed. I'm going to put my balsamic vinegar in, and I've used white balsamic because I didn't want it to be too dark. Now I'm going to put in buttermilk, 3/4 cup, and we're just going to stir that around for a second. Pinch of salt. Some freshly ground black pepper. Nice stir. And a ½ cup of mayonnaise. I'm sorry, it's a cup. All right, get all that in there. And I like to use a fork when I do this dressing because it really mixes it up wonderfully. And you want to give this about 3 minutes of stirring. Get all that mayonnaise absorbed. All right, let's get this in right on top of the salad. And we're going to mix it all together. And as soon as I get all of this mixed up, I'm going to take some lemon juice Just a nice, good squeeze of lemon juice all the way over the top. And that was a seed. All right. We're going to let this sit for just a minute. Start to get those flavors working together. And I'm going to show you how I plan to serve my salad today. I've gotten some wonderfully large tomatoes, and the one thing that I try to make sure of is that they'll sit on the plate correctly. So just take a tiny bit off the bottom and it will sit nice and flat. I'm going to take this lovely little tool. I didn't on these three, but this lovely little tool, if you'd like to make something a little more decorative, you can make something that really looks cute. Let's see if I can get this top off. And then we're going to take this same tool and I'm going to scoop out the inside of the tomato. While I'm doing this, we're going to have a word from our sponsor, and when you come back, we'll have all of our salad in our tomatoes and ready to start with our couscous.
ATMC TV and the Coastal Kitchen would like to say thank you to our sponsors at Food Lion, your neighborhood grocery store. Since 1957, Food Lion has been offering the highest quality products at low prices with great service. Swing by your local Food Lion today to find all the ingredients needed to make the meal featured on this week's show.
Welcome back to the Coastal Kitchen. We've got 2 more side dishes to make, and I've already started my vegetable stock boiling for my couscous. I've got 2 cups of vegetable stock and 1 cup of water. We're going to let that boil, then we're going to add our couscous. It's a Mediterranean Bulgar type wheat product, and sometimes people like to liken it to rice or a very small pasta. It's wonderful, filled with wonderful nutrients, so we're doing a little bit healthy today. While I've got that boiling, let's start with our asparagus. The easiest way for me to do asparagus is bake it in the oven, and I bake it at 350. And I'm going to put a light spray of olive oil on my pan. And you see I love to use aluminum foil. Makes cleanup so easy. Now with asparagus, these are large, and the way to make sure you don't get the tough ends is to gently bend, and let's see where it breaks. Okay, I know it's breaking there, and I'm going to take my asparagus, line them up, and I'm going to make that cut just about the exact same place. These have been washed, and I'm going to start to spread them on my pan. I don't want them on top of each other. I just want them to be side by side. All right, let's get our next bunch. And I always use that one piece that I have to measure by. And the asparagus that you need will depend on how many people you're serving. Usually about 4 pieces is a good serving size. I like it, so we usually do a little bit more than that. Okay, if it doesn't fit that way, put a couple on the side this way. Now, I'm going to spray very lightly again with my olive oil, just one little bit, and I'm going to take my salt and sprinkle just a little salt. If you'd like, you want to make this a little bit healthier without the sodium, use Mrs. Dash. Some type of salt substitute works just as well. Now we're going to put this in a 350 oven for about 10 minutes. Then I'm going to pop the broiler on for about 2 minutes. Let's put that in, get that going, and I'm going to turn my couscous off as soon as I put it in the water. All right, it's going in. I'm going to give it a good stir, make sure everything gets wet. You can do couscous in plain water. but having a little bit of flavor. You can use chicken stock, you can use vegetable stock as I did. It makes it taste a little bit nicer. I'm going to pop just a little salt, just a little pepper. And when I finish, I'm going to put Parmesan cheese in with about a tablespoon of olive oil. Makes it very tasty, and we're going to serve that along with our salmon. I'm going to get this cleaned up, and we're going to make our rustic apple tart.
ATMC TV and the Coastal Kitchen would like to say thank you to our sponsors at Holden Brothers Farm Market in Charlotte for supplying the fresh produce on this week's show. For over 25 years, the Holden Brothers Farm Market has specialized in the freshest locally grown produce on their 250 acres in Charlotte. Swing by their indoor market located near mile marker 10 on Highway 17 or check them out online at holdenbrothersfarmmarket.com.
Welcome back. I've started with my rustic apple tart. I'm peeling my last apple, and once I get that peeled, I'm going to core it, and we're going to slice it super thin. Want to get that as not quite paper thin, but a nice thin slice. I'm going to take a little bit off the bottom, and we're going to core this baby. Okay. Now, all I have to do is I take a little bit off the inside and start slicing thin. You can see, nice thin slices. Okay, we're going to get this all sliced up and get it ready for the oven. Now this is going to go in a 350 oven, and it takes close to an hour. You need to just make sure you look at it and see that the edges aren't getting too brown. Alright, we're nearly finished with the apples. All done, all in. I've put a little tiny bit of lemon juice on the top of this. I'm going to throw in some raisins. I like raisins in mine. I'm going to put in some sugar. A pinch of salt. Just a little. And we've got some flour. Right on the top. I need half a teaspoon of nutmeg and half a teaspoon of cinnamon. I've got a little bit of extra sugar over here. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to coat all these apples, and then we're going to let them sit while I roll out my dough. And I've used the same sweet and savory pastry dough that we've used in an earlier show, and you can get that recipe off of our website at atmctv.com, or you can go to Facebook. Find us at the Coastal Kitchen. All right, gosh, that smells so good. Love cinnamon, and getting ready for the holidays. The rest of our meal is pretty healthy. This is too, because there's not a whole lot of sugar in it, but it does give us a little sweetness. Let's wash these hands off fast. I'm going to let this sit to the side just a moment. Clean this up. And I'm using a pizza pan. And if you'd like to use regular baking pan, that's great. I'm going to take a little tiny bit of butter and just lightly butter the bottom. After I get some on there, I'll take my paper towel and make sure it covers the entire surface. Okay. Now for the flour. Once I get my dough unwrapped. Just going to put this out on the surface here. and get my rolling pin. And I'm going to use the whole amount of dough for the recipe because I want to have the ability to pull the dough over the apples. And we're going to just get this nice and rolled out, nice and thin. And I want these sides just like they are. They are looking like they came right off the farm. That's the way we want it. Want this dough to hold all the juices in. We're going to turn it over one more time. Okay. I'm going to put this right underneath. Like I said, I want all those pieces just to hang over the side. And we're going to start putting apples on top. And I want you to just mound them up. Because they will come down. We're going to start pulling the sides up. And any little places you see that need to be sort of pinched together, pinch them together so nothing comes out. See how easy this is? You're going to leave a nice big hole at the bottom. And this is a real crusty pie. I have one little piece that fell off, but we're going to put him back on. All right. Now, let me rinse my hands real fast. And I'm going to take just a little bit of granulated sugar and sprinkle over the top. And this is going to go in a 350 oven. And you'll see when it turns golden brown that it's ready to come out. While I'm at the oven, I think it's time to take the asparagus out. I'm going to put my asparagus right there. I'm going to put my apple tart right in. Same degree oven, 350. Okay. Doesn't this asparagus look wonderful? It's still nice and green. It's crispy, okay? I'm going to set this over here for a moment. And my couscous should be just about ready. Let's take a peek. It is. See how that cooked up so beautifully? Now we're going to take olive oil and just drizzle it in. And let me get a spoon. I'll take a fork. Because we want to fluff this up with a fork. And we're going to put in Parmesan cheese. And I've got about 1/4 of a cup. Just going to mix it in. And you can see how it comes out. Just about like a pasta. Doesn't that look great? Okay, I'm going to put the top on it one more minute. And turn my oven on broil. I'm going to pop my asparagus back in the oven under broil as I take my salmon out because it's ready. and we'll be back when we have everything on a plate for you to see and we can taste.
ATMC TV and the Coastal Kitchen would like to say thank you to our sponsors at Food Lion, your neighborhood grocery store. Swing by your local Food Lion today to find all the ingredients needed to make the meal featured on this week's show.
Welcome back. I've just taken the tart out of the oven and you can tell it's a wonderful rustic look. I've made up a little bit of confectionery sugar icing, and just to make it a little bit different, we're just going to drizzle some across the top. You can put this on if you'd like. You don't have to. You can also serve this with ice cream, or a wonderful way to, if you've never tried, is with a good egg custard that you just get hot on the stove and pour right over the top of the piece. Now the way that I would serve this, get you a big slice and a big spoon, because this is the way it's supposed to be. No structure other than fun. I have our salmon. It's all ready. Got it as an entree with my asparagus, couscous, and my stuffed tomato salad. I've also made the appetizer version of the salmon. Little cream cheese on the bottom, some salmon, capers, and lovely red onions. Hope you'll visit us again. Look for our recipes at atmctv.com, and you can find us on Facebook, The Coastal Kitchen. Enjoy! If you have extra apples, don't waste. Let's make some applesauce. I've got my food processor. I've got the apples from my Rustic apple tart, and I'm going to put them right into my food processor because I'm going to make an applesauce that I can use at a little later date. So let's get that all in, and let's start blending. And I'm going to really give it a good one. I'm going to put it on the stove on a medium heat for about 20 minutes. I want it to get cooked down, okay? So we've got that ready. And if you're like me, if you put your finger in the bottom, it holds that wonderful blade in, so you can get the majority of what you have in here out. Now let's take it out, take it off, and get the rest. This would be wonderful put on top of oatmeal too. Okay, on the stove, medium, and we're going to let that cook for just about 20 minutes. While I've been watching my apples cook, I think that it needs a little more moisture, so I'm putting in about a half a cup of apple juice. Give it a little more moisture. You watch it and you add it as much as you think it needs. It smells like fall. This looks like it's beautifully done. Let's turn off that heat. Get this into a bowl. Let it cool, and then you can put it in your refrigerator to use later. You can use this as applesauce. You could put it as a topping on oatmeal with a little brown sugar. You could even make these into a muffin if you have an apple muffin mix that you'd like to use. If you'd like more recipes like this, you can see them at atmctv.com, or you can go to our Facebook page.